Hello. हाँ 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 हाँ.
Good afternoon, all. I would like to welcome you all to the third session of the day 2 of Faculty Development Program on Advanced Process Control, sponsored by AICTE Training and Learning Academy, organized by Department of Electrical Engineering and Department of Chemical Engineering, NIT Calicut. Before starting this session, I would like to read out the rules and regulations. By attending this webinar, you voluntarily agree to the terms and conditions set forth by the AICTE and the compliance of the academia or industry offering this lecture. No contents of this webinar may be copied, recorded, or reproduced in any manner without the written permission of the AICTE and the compliance of the academia or industry offering this lecture. Please mute your mic and camera at all times. Do not use chat box for sending personal greetings. Use it only to post your doubts on the topic. Do not click on present now during the session. If you have any technical issues, make sure that your internet connectivity is stable and then wait for 1 or 2 minutes. If the issue still persists, then use our WhatsApp group to address it. Our team will assist you. Participants must attend all the sessions and the test will be conducted at the end of the FDP. Those who get 60% marks in the test and attendance above 80% will get the participant certificate.
Good afternoon, sir. Sunil Kumar, sir. Sir. Sunil Kumar, sir.
Hello?
Shall we start the session, sir?
Okay.
Okay. So, good afternoon, all. I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Sunil Kumar, sir, for this session. Sir has received his BTech degree in Electrical Electronics Engineering from NSS College of Engineering, Palakkad, and he received the Master degree in Power System from National Institute of Technology, Jamshedpur. He then started his doctoral work at Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, on the topic of model matching controller design methods with applications in electric power system, and received his doctorate in 2005. Then he joined as an assistant professor in Department of Electrical Engineering in NIT Calicut. His research interests include model order reduction, interval systems, controller design using model order reduction techniques, applications of control theories to power systems, genetic algorithm, and random search optimization. Sir, we are very happy to welcome you for this session. Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Hi, sir.
So I can start then?
Yes, sir.
So I think screen is visible, that slide is...
Yes, sir. It is visible.
So we can start the our session that first we are saying about the fraction order system. Then if time permits, we will go for the fraction order controllers. Because basically the orientation is same as controller or systems, the theory almost remains same except the design pattern and all those things, implementation issues, those kind of things are there. So what is my association with fraction order controller is in two ways. or in the literature you can see that always it is associated in the two ways. That is, one is you can see papers in fraction order controllers as rational approximation of the FOS. What you mean by fraction order systems? A rational approximation is already what you study as a transfer function approach or state space representation. That is what we say as a rational ratios. Anything which is representing or maybe a high order integer order representation of a fraction order systems, then you can use all the things which you already learned for your or for an integer order representation. All the things that can be applied for that can be used with the fraction order system if you got a rational approximation of that fraction order systems. So what that is one of the topic that is there in the literature associated with the fraction order systems. And second one is what you call as a design of fraction order of controllers. Just like any other controller tuning or design, we can directly tune the fraction order controllers for a fraction order systems or integer order system. So what I have worked so far is this one is a reduced order approximation, model matching, optimization methods like your GA, random search algorithms or Rouse algorithms, like that. Then for different types of configuration is 1DF and 2DF controller designs. So far I was able to work with linear systems with and without time delays, and now presently working for an interval systems, now presently in the interval system. So first we talk about the fraction order systems. So whether the system is fraction orders, the literature it is commonly known as the fraction order systems, but the nomenclature that you use is actually stuck for a long time. Normally it should be a non-integer orders. We don't, whenever we say have a fractional means it should be less than 1. Say power of derivatives or power of the Laplace operators S should be less than 1. So that should be less than 1. Should be less than 1, then only we call it as a fractional term.
என்னமா சொல்ற 10 லட்சமா வரதட்சணையா கொடுக்கணுமா இதுக்கே அப்பா கல்யாணம் வேண்டாம்னு சொல்லிடுவாரு.
All audience are please requested to mute their phone.
So when we say as a fractional term, everywhere we are familiar with the fractional term being used is less than 1. So if during the first beginning of the work in the fraction order systems, they used to have concern only with the power of derivatives or power of the fractional representation less than 1, say s raised to 0.5, s raised to 0.6, something like that. So that name has got struck with that, and that field was called as fraction order controller from there. So more general terminology could be non-integer orders. So that is what say s raised to 1.2 or s raised to 1.3 can be called as a non-integer order representation itself. So order itself can be irrational number. So you know what is meant by irrational numbers, 1.3333 continuous. That is what we say as irrational numbers. So if that kind of thing is there, how to deal with that kind of thing is what we will be saying. That is what now that name has struck with that fractional, so they are continuing with that terminology for that systems. So you know that a system can be modeled using the physical laws and using the empirical laws and all other things. Empirical procedures are there for modeling the systems. The representation of the system in any forms is what we call as a modeling. In one particular mathematical representation, which will giving you the system representation in the form of either in the form of some kind of mathematical equations which relates its input and output is what we call as modeling. One way is that you study the system and get the hold of its laws. Different laws are there. if you take electrical circuits, you will have to follow the Kirchhoff law or Kirchhoff voltage law, nodal equations. Like that, we used to do that and get the differential equation. So that is what we say modeling of that system. But you should remember that whenever we take a model, any equations or laws, it will have its own limitations. So if you take an Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, that represents the modeling of a simple resistance. But that also will get a, what is that limitations, you know, that if the temperature varies, the Ohm's law will no longer be valid. So that all things you know. So if by nature, when you do the equations and all those things, if you come up with the by default, if somebody's some equations, some laws are giving you the fractional order representation, that thing is what is we have defined it as fractional order systems in nature. So all these things you are familiar with, like electrical transmission lines. In power systems, in UG classes, you will study the undergraduate studies. You will have studied that some terms will be coming during the derivation itself, the root of S, where S is your Laplace operator, or it will, in the time domain, it will represent the derivative. So if you are remembering that, some root of this will be coming when you are deriving the electrical transmission lines dynamics. So automatically by default, the representation of these systems, what was given in the in your slide, all these things will by default they are giving you the fractional order representations. So all these batteries, the reactions taking place in the batteries, diffusions. If you mix two chemicals, by default, by the laws governing that dynamics by itself will give you the fractional representation. Other things what you already know, that the fractal surface, porous surface. If you want to represent a virus colonies, human organ models, economic fluctuations, all these things are by default fraction order representations, where by nature means its governing rules will be going towards a fractional representation. And if you don't want to study fraction order into this particular thing, we are diluting by restricting it somewhat to a integer order, approximating to an integer order representation, and then studying that. But these all natures are fractional order system in nature. That is what it says. In nature means when you study the dynamics of that this system, the laws itself will lead to the fractional representations. So it started long back, let us say 1695, when Alois this was asking a question, but what will having a differential equation n is equal to half? If order of the differential equations will be half, then what will be the, so that is what it started from there, and so many literature, so many books have been. I not got the question. What is that? What about the industrial fractional systems? Yeah, definitely there will be some, like I said, diffusions. All are coming from that particular chemical reactions coming from industries. All will be coming under that examples of industrial fractional order systems. Whenever you have a chemical reactions, whenever you have a diffusion between two liquids, the loss will be having the equations will be coming out to be a fractional order differential equations. So what is this fractional order? But actual thing is that when you think about fuzzy logic, you have a logic between 0 and 1, and say integers. Between integers, you got non-integers. Suppose say step 1, then you got step 2. In between this, you got 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. And between integer dimensions, you know that it is 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimension. So between these things, you will got say 1.26 dimension, 1.8 dimension, like that. So what is meant by fractional order thinking means in between. So instead of going for a perfect discrete kind of things, that is what you say fuzzy logic or in binary logics, thinking in between. That is what we say, what we describe as a fractional order representation of a systems. That is, you are trying to represent a system which can be represented by thinking in between the two integer order representations. For example, if you are sitting in a room and you are given a scale which doesn't have any binary that small divisions. So either it is 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter, 5 meter, like scale is there. No subdivisions is there. Then you are given another scale which is having subdivisions. So these two you will note down in the paper that one is giving me 3 meters, another is giving 3.2 meters. So that is what we say. One is giving you the integer representation of the length, other will be giving you a fractional representation of the length. Say a length of 1 meter, the line is there, and a length of 1.2 meter. So if you are representing that with integer, non-integer numbers, that is what is fractional representation of that particular systems. So you are familiar with the dimension with integer dimensions. Say straight lines represent the first dimension. If you have a rectangle or a square kind of things, that is what we say as a 2 dimension. If you have a 3-dimensional cube or cuboid, we got a 3-dimensional thing. So this is what we can easily perceive very easily. So what will happen if the dimension of the things is integer, non-integer, then picture will be something looking like this. So that is what we say in between thinking. When we think fractional order representation is something, we can term it as between thinking. So all the distributive systems are represented as a fractional order systems. That is already been told. Fractional order systems, why we have to go for a fractional order controllers? Because of this property that it is isodamping. You know what is the property of isodamping? When you draw the Bode plot, if your phase is constant, your phase contribution is constant in the Bode plot, that is what we say as isodamping. Whenever you add a controller, it is contributing the magnitude and the phase. And in overall closed loop system, if you're drawing the Bode plots, if it is providing this isodamping, that is same damping is provided for the entire systems. After that thing, the phase contribution will be remaining as a constant for a wide frequency range, which is not possible in an integer order system. That phase contribution or phase plot, you will see a constant phase being provided by the these fractional order representation. So whenever you require a robust controller where phase contributions will be remaining constant. So if you have isodamping, it will lead to a robust controllers where their fluctuation in the phase will not be much. So you will get almost a straight line kind of things by a fractional order representation. And in normal things, say if you take a fractional order PID, it has got 3 unknowns. In terms of fractional order PID, you got derivatives like P, Kp raised to Kp, Ki, S raised to lambda will be your integral controller, and Kd into S raised to mu, where alpha and mu are non-integer numbers. So this is my mu. So this is a structure of that, and plus your KP will be there. So instead of tuning with the 3 variables, now you have to tune 5 variables. So 2 more extra thing is there. 2 variables are more, which will give you more degree of freedom in the choice of their tuning process. So you will be more adjusting to the required dynamics or required desired characteristics which has to be there in the closed loop system. So if you see the literature surveys, you might have seen the, say, Kalman filters, PLL. In power system you will see PLL. In the power electronics you will see buck boost converters. In the control system you have studied observers. Controller and observer, both are dual thing, you have studied that. Controller is there, PID controller, FOPID controller is there, resonant is there, and all the things which is normally people are associated with the fraction order things have gone into that, and people are doing with the fraction order representations. You have studied, might have some of things you might have studied, like FO differentiators, sensors you have seen. There are so many different kinds of sensors you have studied. So many kind of sensors you have seen. The fraction order sensors are now coming up. This is what we say as a literature review, and still it is going on, like FOC controller for wind energy systems. And so what we do for fraction order system is that we are going to start everywhere we are in representations always help in 2 ways. One is the control actions, that is you have to decide the control action to make the controller so as to meet your desired closed loop specification. That is what we say as control action, whatever may be your complicated control actions. Another is what I said as modeling. One part I already told that let us say you have a rules like Kirchhoff law, Kirchhoff laws, Newton's laws, like that you got so many laws everywhere in every field. So that is one part of the modeling. In some places you will not get that kind of equations. Not getting every kind of dynamics cannot be represented by laws. Then you go for empirical methods. You will create some equation and try to fit that, like curve fitting and all those things. So that is the second part of the modeling. If your modeling is good only, then only you can design a controller action as good as possible. So if some dynamics of the system is given there, and from the input output information, you want to fit a given expression, that this will be the expressions, equations which will govern that particular thing. Then you are finding the its constants and the powers of that unknown things, unknown equations, using system identification. That is also the second part of the modeling. So if you are in that second part, if you are purposefully fitting a fraction order systems, fraction order representation, like transfer function being fraction order, or a differential equation being a fraction order systems, then you carry out this kind of curve fitting equation, system identification, then that particular representation will be more close to that dynamics compared to your integer order representations. So I think most of you those who have taken control systems specialization might have studied system identification. In that we take linear systems, nonlinear dynamics, equations will be there. You might have studied in your lower classes, curve fitting. That data is given, you have to make the equations. So if the equation there is taken in the form of fraction order representations, that representation will be more close to the dynamics compared to that of if you're restricting yourself to be that of the integer orders. So this is the two areas where fraction order systems are given that, and why we should go for a fraction order PID controllers, why we should give restrict hours. Normally we have studied PID controllers, why it is not enough. That is what this slide is saying. You know about this slide. A normal derivatives, you have S. So when you substitute S as j omega, what is its phase contribution? When you draw the Bode plots, the phase contribution of a derivative action is that it will give you only pi by 2. You can only tune the gain contribution of that. Let us say KD is there. KD into S is the term associated with your derivative action in a normal PID. So what is the problem in normal PID that I have to go to the fractional PID? So in the normal PID, my phase contribution is getting fixed by, that is plus 90 degree it will add. It is because of that, and there is nothing I can do more than this, more less than that, or, and in the phase plot you can see that it will add 90 degree, and in the Bode plots you can see the slope of plus 20 dB is added. Only 20 dB of slope is added by that particular derivative terms. 20 dB line, I think those who have gone through the Bode plot, if you're remembering that Bode plot plays a crucial role in the design of a controller. So each terms of the controller, this particular term of the controller will add only plus 20 dB. No fluctuation is possible in the matter of the slope as far as the derivative action is concerned. And integral action is just a mirror image of the derivative actions. It will contribute the steady state is removed, that all things is, you know that. And a phase, that is minus pi by 2 is added to the, lag is added to the 90 degree, minus 90 degree is added to the your system from the integral action. So nothing less, nothing more. That is fixed. So minus 20 dB will be added to the inner Bode plots. Mathematically speaking, you are adding minus 20 dB line to the system. The slope cannot be adjusted by that particular thing. So phase angle cannot be adjusted by your normal PID controller. You can only contribute towards the gain side. Phase side remains fixed. So this phase contribution pi by 2, if you are adding with an s raised to alpha kind of thing, let us say derivative alpha is some 0.6. So you are adding, you can adjust, instead of getting 90 degree perfect, I am going to get 90 into alpha. So phase contribution of a fractional derivative will become 90 into alpha. Alpha is a tunable thing. Alpha, you are tuning it, not like your normal PID. It is tunable. So that it is tunable, whatever, or you can decide it, whichever, by whatever method is feasible with your hand. It is under your control. Earlier it was not under, in the normal PID controller, this contribution is not under the controller of the designer. That 90 degree remains fixed. So now you are going to get additional things, additional benefit of that is that the contribution coming from a derivative action, phase contribution will be 90 into alpha, where alpha is one of the tunable or designable parameters. So if you tune the alpha as 0.6, so it becomes 90 into 0.6. So 55.4 something. So it will be tunable. That phase contribution of that controller, whatever controller you are designing, a general order controller or a PID controller in a fractional order representation, the phase angle contribution is tunable or designable. So that is one of the features of the fractional order controllers, why we are able to get more control and move your closed loop systems more fine to your desired closed loop system dynamics. So this is what S raised to n, we already talked about that. one can get more satisfactory between more close to satisfy the controlled system, that is closed loop system specifications more closely. More flexible design methods can be there for a normal s raised to n. For derivative it becomes s raised to n, and for integral action it becomes 1 by s raised to n, where n belongs to integer. So where 90 into n will become your phase contribution. So you are able to satisfy the more between the positive and the negative effect of that. Say if you choose between, if it is by tuning the KPKI KD only, there is a chance that you can go more than that your specified value and less than that. Suppose your oscillations can be positive here and negative towards this side. Positive again go to this side, and this is your desired level that. So these things you can compromise or reduce this positive and negative effect of a normal PID by using these fraction order controllers. System modeling, already have said why we have to bother about the system modeling. So you have studied that in normal, if you are using a normal representation in using integer order systems, if you have 2s, let us say 2 by s plus 1, it's a normal integer order system. So you can implement that thing by integer having a circuit like resistance, inductance and capacitance, or vice versa. So if you've got a circuit having only a normal lumped element like resistance, inductance, capacitance, so that will be going to give me this kind of representations. So that is what we say as, but moment you take it as 2 by s raised to 0.6, so that you cannot represent by normal a simple lumped equations. Either you can have a series of circuits, RLC circuits, that is what we call as a ladder circuits. You might have studied the ladder circuits. Ladder circuits are very easy to form, and they can be used for representing the fractional derivatives. So a normal resistance, one inductors or some 2-3 inductance or resistance cannot give me this kind of resistance or capacitance. So for that purpose, we got different kinds of impedance that is available now. This is called the element, which is representing the fractional and the operational purpose, and they are called as the factors. Waremberg impedance, so you can search in the name of this, which gives special impedance like constant phase elements, which give you a fraction order representations. So this is what in the, say, S, when you put S equal to j omega in the steady state part, you will have n coming here. And this is already been told what happens if n is belongs to R. And how you are going to implement that. So there are two ways. If you get a controller designed and the controller design or a system is given to you as a fraction order system, you have to go to the lab and implement it, or you have to go to the computer and implement it. So this is the two ways. One is mathematical representation, mathematical computer programming. If you are doing in Simulink, if you are doing in programming, this part will be there. Reduced order approximation or rational approximation. That is what we say. The name may not be correct. It is called as a rational approximation of the FOC. Another is the approximation, that is rational. Different types of standard approximation is Oslo approximation. So if you are opening the MATLAB nowadays in the Simulink, you will get the d raised to alpha. if you are opening the MATLAB, the present MATLAB, I think will have a fractional derivative, d raised to alpha. Like this box, you can see d by dt of alpha. So what does that do inside that, like a box block? You can see this block in the Simulink. If it is there in your system, if FOC is installed in your coming with your FO systems or derivatives are coming in your Simulink, this kind of FO derivative is there that uses this Oslo approximation. So in the Laplace operator, it will be represented as s raised to alpha. A single s raised to alpha will be there in the Simulink blocks, and you can cascade it to make a full transfer function. So this block represents s raised to alpha block, and this s raised to alpha block is implemented in the MATLAB using Oslo approximation or modified Oslo approximation. So in that dialog box is there, you can choose which one you want, whether you want to go for Oslo approximation or modified approximation. So at the end, I will tell what is meant by modified Oslo approximation. So that these things represent the mathematical way in which you can represent a fractional systems. Other thing is using the fractals. In the hardware part, there is an element called factors. You can design it using op-amps, OTA based circuits, ladder circuits, RC ladder circuits, RC ladder circuit based designs are available. So this is where the hardware component comes. In hardware, how you can represent a fractional order systems. So this side, it is saying about the hardware representation. This side, in the programming or in the simulations, how you can represent a fractional systems. So what is meant by the factors? So this alpha pi by 2 is the if any component which will having this kind of phase representations comes under the category of the contribution from 1 by f s raised to alpha. So that will be represented by alpha pi by 2. So that kind of alpha pi by 2 is the contributor. The phase contribution, as I already said, will be coming from minus 90 alpha for a capacitance. And that kind of device is called fractance. So if you get alpha is equal to 1, because it is already, I have taken it as 1 by s raised to alpha. Okay, 1 by s raised to alpha. So if alpha is equal to 1, I will get a perfect capacitor, which you have studied. So that is why I have kept here as alpha is equal to 1. It has kept as capacitor. If alpha is chosen as minus 1, you know that it will become your ideal inductor. That L of S or S, which we have studied, which we are more familiar with, s raised to 1 by s raised to minus 1. S raised to minus 1. From the previous slide, that alpha is defined like this, and this is 1 by s. And if alpha is 0, you will get a resistance, which we know. If alpha is 0, you will get something. So what will happen in between? And when alpha is equal to 2, you will get a negative resistance. That is also in the literature, you can see many work has been done by the frequency dependent. Frequency term will be there. Frequency dependent negative resistance. That is what it says. When alpha is equal to 2, means angle contributions will become 180 degree. Then it is a resistance. It will have the frequency term in it. It is what we call as a frequency dependent negative resistance. So many work has been done using this frequency dependent negative resistance. And what if the alpha representation is something like 0.6, 0.7 like that, it will come in between. That is what we call as a
fractor. That will come as a fractor. So if you have this kind of s raised to alpha, then 1 by s raised to alpha in the previous slide, if you are having this kind of system as a fractional order capacitance, then its unit of fractance is given by ohm raised to -1 by s raised to f. So f is your farad, s raised to alpha minus 1 will be your total unit of the fractance. Alpha with the different values, a different alpha will belong to its common category called fractals. So any element or by numerical methods or by hardware, if your alpha belongs to any of these midway, then it belongs to the same category called as fractals. And out of this, you got three positions which we have studied as inductor, capacitor, and resistance. All other things are grouped into one category called, say, if something is alpha is between here, or value of alpha is here in the third quadrant, in the fourth quadrant, in the third quadrant, second quadrant, like that, it is comes at 1 by s raised to alpha. It is commonly called as the fractals. So if your alpha is 0.5, so unit is represented by alpha raised to minus by s raised to 0.5. So this is what I was taking, that what is for each element of like that, you will get a constant phase for a practical thing. So if you are getting a perfect, it will be a straight line. If you are getting a constant phase angle will be there. So if you are using a resistance and capacitance, a ladder circuit, it will have a ripple. If you are using a ladder circuits, it will have a ripple, and you by making a perfect thing, you will get a straight line in this particular body plot of the phase plots. You are going to get a constant phase contribution from that particular element. So that is a property that fraction order controllers are going to offer compared to your integer order thing. The same what I told. Now coming to the calculus, like your integer order calculus, this is also running parallel to that, or you can consider that integer order calculus or integer order Laplace thing is a special property of your this fraction order calculus. So in this, when we are going through this, all of them behave in the same way. So if d represents d by dt or whatever derivative, d by dz, whatever variable, dependent variable you have, d, capital D represents the d by dt derivative, and alpha represents the order of the derivative. And if you are keeping here alpha is equal to 1 or alpha is equal to 2, you will be going through what you already know that about the integer order thing. So operator is linear operator. So all kind of, if alpha is 1 and beta is 1, you are going to get the second order derivative. So your additive law of the exponents holds good even if in the fractional calculus. One is in the fractional calculus, and in the literatures, there are so many formulas that has been derived in the literatures, like how to find the integer or derivatives, integrators, fractional integrators, or the fractional derivatives, d raised to minus n, where d is the derivative and I raised to n is d raised to minus n, and they have found out different kinds of formulas are there in the literatures in the name of Cauchy's formula, Riemann-Lochi's conception of the fraction order integral. In the literatures, you can find the defined way of finding the Riemann-Lochi's fraction order integration is there, and which has been used to find out the fraction order integrals is defined by this in terms of this particular terms, where n minus 1 factorial is gamma function of n. So if you have studied in maths gamma function, it is n minus 1 factorial is equal to n gamma n. Using that thing, you can numerically find the value of the ith derivative, alphath derivative, where alpha can be a non-integer number. So using these formulas, which is given in these literatures, has already been standardized. So whenever you are working in the numerical methods of using fraction order, you must, if you are using any of these standard definitions, you must use this particular name in your work. Like that, fraction order derivatives, they have defined it as like this: d raised to dt by m, where m is integer, where m is a number which belongs to m minus 1 and alpha minus 1, and you can find numerical values of the d raised to alpha by ft. Any function f of t is given. You want to find the alpha derivative. You can find the derivative by using the Riemann-Lochi definition by using this particular formula. So this is the standard formulas which is given in the literatures to find out the alpha derivatives. And what you already studied the Laplace transforms. Laplace transform, this represents a Laplace transform. The Laplace transform of integral of f of t. F of t is, you know, the Laplace transform of f of t is given as f of s. Then what will be the Laplace transform of alpha integration of f of t is given by s raised to minus alpha f of s. So in this particular slide, if you are putting alpha is equal to 1, wherever you see alpha is equal, wherever you see the alpha equal to 1, you just substitute alpha is equal to 1. You will go back. It will become 1 by s into f of s, which we already studied for a first order integration. So in this slide, or all the slides which we are going to see, you just substitute alpha equal to 1, you will recollect all the things which you have studied for an integer order calculus. So here it's a derivative. What is the Laplace transform of derivative of alpha, the derivative of f of t? You have studied when alpha is equal to 1, when alpha is equal to 2, you have studied the same kind of Laplace operation, which we call it as a shifting theorem. In this, s raised to alpha of fs is equal to the initial conditions, s raised to k, where k varies from 0 to m minus 1, initial condition f0, like that. You know that formula, s raised to s into f of s. For alpha equal to 1, it becomes, when derivative is the first order derivative, you want to find the Laplace transform of that. When the Laplace transform of f of t is known to be f of s, then what is the Laplace transform of that? Derivative of the f of t is given as this particular theorem, which we call as shifting theorem. So the same thing is used here also, extension of that one, or the what you have studied, that is a special case of this particular theorem, s raised to alpha s minus k varies from 0 to m minus 1, s raised to k, d raised to alpha minus k minus 1 f of t at t equal to 0. So that is what we studied as initial conditions. For normal case, that is what we studied as a initial condition. So f of 0 will come. So this is the thing which we have used in the control system to form the transfer function, where this entire thing will going to become the 0. For forming the transfer function, all the initial conditions are supposed to be 0. So for getting the Laplace fraction order transfer function, you are using this part only, this part or this part, s raised to alpha f of s. Just like you are putting s raised to 2 y of s, y is output, and s raised to 2 u of s, like that, if to form the transfer function representation of the system. From the differential equation to derivative, you take the Laplace transform on the both sides and find the ratio of y of s by u of s.
Sir,
Link got disconnected.
sir, is there any problem?
Hello?
PPT came.
Hi,
PPT
sir.
came.
Yes, yes. Okay. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You can see the slides?
Yes, yes.
So what I was saying what all things you studied about the integer order calculus is a special case of the fraction order calculus. In that way, you can able to connect what you have already studied in your integer order calculus, integer order Laplace transforms, and connect it with the fraction order representations. So this, I think already you know that now we are coming to the transfer function representation of the fraction order system. So as I said, it is a mathematical relationship between the inputs and outputs. So if you got an input u1, u2, u3 and y1, y2, y3, by some derivatives, you are connecting the terms of the input and outputs. So that can be nonlinear as well as linear equations. So for a simplicity, I consider only the linear time invariant single variables. U of t is a single input I am giving, and y of t is a single output is coming. And but instead of having the integer derivative, we got alpha n minus 1, alpha 0, beta m minus 1, beta 0. In your UG classes or in your MTech classes, you might have studied this alpha n as 3, 2. Instead of this, it will be 3. Let us say this 3, this 2, and this 1. Now you generalized it as 3.1, 2.1 like that. D raised to alpha. Power of the derivative is alpha n. D represents the derivative, and an represents the coefficient of that corresponding gain or whatever you're calling coefficient of the differential equations. Like that, an minus 1. Then, and like that, if you have the derivative of the input term of things, it will come on the left side of that, and the other things will be coming on the right side and left side equation. So these things you are familiar with from the differential equation of the system, either obtained through the laws or through your system modeling using system identification. You will get this, and then you force that thing to make it as using the shifting theorem. You can make it as a transfer function by forcing the initial condition to be 0. And before we start go into the transfer function definitions or state space approach, another classification is that of the seen in literature is a system can be called as a commensurate order if there is a relationship between the orders. If you have s raised to 0.6 here, and in other terms, let us say s raised to 0.2 is here, like 2 plus let us say one characteristic equation of representation 2 and 3 are the coefficients, and say I am representing 1.1 here plus 0th term, let's say 4. So this represents a characteristic equation of a system. Then there exists a relationship between the orders. 1.1 is here and 0.2 is here. Earlier we have studied it as s square plus 2s plus 3. This is what you have studied as integer order characteristic equation. So this you can see the power is here multiples of 1s. That is what you got normal, s square, s cube, s3, s4, like that it will be there with their own coefficients. So if there exists a integer multiples of the base order of alpha is given, and k raised to alpha becomes your constants, then system can be said to be the commensurate orders. So your integer order system, which you have studied in your UG classes, PG classes, and you are using in the literatures, whatever, integer order system is also a part of the commensurate order, where it is where alpha is the base order is equal to 1. Here everything is multiples of 1. 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, like that. S raised to 4, S raised to 6, S raised to 7 is coming. Whatever may be the high order, all the powers are the multiples of the base order. There in the integer order, alpha is equal to 1. Now, if that base order becomes, let us say, 0.1, you will get this kind of characteristic equations or this kind of representations. If I am multiplying every number by 0.1 in this particular characteristic, I will get 0.2, 0.2, s raised to 0.2, 2 raised to s into 0.1, like that I am going to get the characteristic. So here also by arbitrarily I am getting some characteristic equation with some initial with some coefficient being 0. So if I am multiplying this by 1 by 100, sorry, 1 by 10, then alpha is becoming 1 by 10. So each coefficient, each power is multiplied by the 1 by 10, the order of that
is multiplied by having a base constant, and each, or you have to see that every power is having some relationship with each other, then that kind of system is called as the commensurate order system. So in the most of the literature work that has been done in the fraction order representation, if you are working in the fraction order representation, the most of the work that has been done is in the commensurate order systems. So I can, if you are taking LTI systems, that is linear time invariant systems, you can classify them for using non-integer and our integer order systems, and that non-integer systems can be again classified as commensurate order system and non-commensurate. What do you mean by non-commensurate? Suppose you have a derivative s raised to sin x, and other term is sin x is some is irrational number 2 plus s raised to sin x and 3 into s raised to ex or e3 something I will write e3 e raised to exponential value of e3 and sin x, and like that so many unknown, like I will put s raised to pi in this characteristic equation or in this differential equation. So I can say that there is no relationship or no ratio can be obtained between these powers. I have put one power is here, derivative power, another power is here, another power is here. So if you are getting some kind of like this, is getting that kind of thing is called as a non-commensurate. And both of them is having a rational and irrational. Both can be rational also and both can be irrational also. So most of the work which has been done in the literature is concerned with LTI systems or non-LTI non-linear systems are basically in the area of relating to the commensurate order systems. So most of my work is coming under the category of the commensurate order fraction order system representation. So coming to our representation of the transfer functions, it goes exactly the same as what we studied in integer order. If we have studied this differential equation, it will be coming as s raised to beta in the numerator, s raised to beta, because here d raised to beta m was there, so beta m will be going in the numerator, s raised to beta m, using that shifting theorem exactly in the same way as you have done in your integer order represented, s raised to beta m, s raised to beta m minus 1, s raised to beta naught. The coefficients will be coming in the same manner as you have done in the integer order systems. So only thing is the extra thing is coming as beta m, and in the shifting theorem or this shifting theorem, this entire thing is reduced to 0, or we are forced to make it 0. That is why the transfer function is coming like this. Only s raised to beta m into y of s will be remaining, or s raised to alpha n y of s will be remaining. So we have to, in the normal way, we define the ratio of y of s by u of s. So this is how we represent a continuous time system in a fractional system, can be represented in a transfer function if a system is LTI or linear time invariant system can be represented in a fractional transfer function approach. Okay, so if you have a system, either it is represented in the transfer function or in the state space, the first thing that we have to study is the stability issues. So here also the same kind of definition is there as bounded input, bounded output conditions has to be applied. That is for any input, any output will be there. And from the roots, how to get what will be the stability regions. Now it will have some poles, and the roots, the roots of the characteristic equations you have to find. if the angle of that characteristic equation is greater than alpha pi by 2, then you are setting it to be the stable. What do you mean by argument? Argument, ARG is argument. ARG is the angle of the poles or roots or eigenvalues, whatever you're calling, eigenvalues from the ABCD or roots of the characteristic equations or the poles of the transfer function, whatever name you are going, it is what is denoted as lambda I. So you find the angle of that. If angle is greater than alpha pi by 2, then that kind of system is called, that system is will be stable system. That is what we take it as a. And if you here also, if you substitute alpha is equal to 1, alpha is equal to 1, then you will go back to the same equation which we studied, that left half of the S-plane should be. What is for integer order? We say that left half of the our S-plane, if the roots are lying on the left half of the S-plane, thus that transfer function is, which is in the integer order, is stable. But for fraction order, your stability region is slightly extended actually. So if this is your alpha, where alpha is your base order, so you know that poles are or the characteristic equations, roots or the eigenvalues are symmetrical. So it will form this pair. So this entire portions will be the stability zone. And in this zone, here if your poles are there, it will be unstable. If you are having the poles at this location, that is called what we call as a stable zone. So if alpha is equal to 1, this line is going to coincide with this particular line, imaginary axis. That is what we have studied for the integer order systems, that poles should be lying on the left half of S-plane. Means angle should be greater than, absolute value of the angle should be greater than 90 degree in the integer order system. So that can be more generalized by, for fraction order system, it should be greater than alpha pi by 2. If alpha is, let us say 0.1, it becomes like 9 degree or something. Okay. So does it means that your stability increases by the use of the fraction order system? Then the question arises whether the stability is increased or decreased. And the answer is no, because you are not comparing the two representations. If the system is represented by integer order system and the same system is represented by fraction order system, we cannot compare both the representation on the same scale. Okay, stability is two different issues. Both has to be done in the separate plane. The integer order will be giving you the poles. If it is a stable system, it has to follow that rule. It will be having a representation in this particular thing. And if the fraction order system is stable, it will be giving in this particular entire zone. Like just like in the first example that I told, that length of the room is 1 meter or 1.2 meter. This may not be a differential representation, differential equation. It is an algebraic representation. Okay, so x is equal to 1. Length L, so let us say L is equal to 1. This is a representation which represents the dynamics of a line. And L equal to 1.3. Both are maybe of the same line, but one scale is giving me 1 meter, another scale is going to give me 1.3 meter. Okay, so the rules followed by this representation will be different, and the rules followed by 1.3 will be different. So like that also here also, like you are seeing the town from a plane, or you take it to a satellite photos, the photo will be different from the same place. The dynamics of the same place will be different every time you take different photos, and as you keep on increasing the resolutions, you are going to get more dynamics. But both the pictures are of you cannot compare one taken from the plane helicopters or one taken from the satellite. So you have to do the dynamics analysis in different way for both the pictures. So that is how the stability is not increase or decrease. We are talking about totally in the different representation of the system. So anything, if the angle of the poles or the roots of the characteristic equation or the eigenvalues is greater than alpha pi by 2, then we can say that that equation is stable thing. So you can say that when alpha is equal to 1, it becomes the special case, and then we can recover what all things we have studied for an integer order system. So that is what is for a state space system. We have studied that dx by dt is equal to x plus bu. So this is how we represent in the state space represent. For a normal integer order system, we are breaking that system. Let us say 10th order system. 10th order system is given to us, and you are asked to find the ABCD representation. You know that ABCD representations are not unique like your transfer function. Unlike your transfer function, the ABCD representation are not unique. So let us say you are forming x dot is equal to ax plus bu, where alpha is equal to ax plus bu, where definition of, so if you are keeping alpha is equal to 1 in this particular case, you are going to get what you have already know about your integer order differential equations. So there you are calling it as a first order differential, set of first order differential equations. So okay, now if it's broken down into alpha order differential equation, keeping alpha between 0 and 1, because we are trying to reduce the differentiation order we are ready. So there is no meaning in keeping 1.2 or 1.3 like that. So you have to keep it at low as much as possible. So alpha can be chosen between 0 and 1, and that is what we call alpha differentiate state space representation. If you have d raised to alpha is equal to x plus bu, where if when alpha becomes equal to 1, it becomes equal to what you have studied as a state space representation for an integer order representations. All other definitions remains the same. State, what is state, what is A, B, and all other particularities remain same. So you can see that the right side of that thing is same. So eigenvalues, definition of eigenvalues will be remaining same. Order of the system is represented by the, you are breaking that system into, let us say 3 is there. Third order system, keeping alpha equal to 1, minimum state variables I can define these 3, x1, x2, x3. Even though I can take many more, there is nothing wrong in that. Any system can be represented by any number of state variables. You can take 3. For the same system, your friend can take 6 or 4 or more. Normally, we take in the normal integer order systems, we take the output of each integrator as one state variables. That is 1 by s is there, then that is taken as a state variables, or 1 by s plus a is there, then that is taken as the state variables. Output of each integrator is taken as the one state variables, that is 1 by s. So here also the same concept we can follow is 1 by s raised to alpha is taken as a unit building block. You know that integrator is our favorite building block when you are using in the block diagrams. So that is instead of 1 by s, it becomes 1 by s raised to alpha. So output of this 1 by s raised to alpha can be taken as one state variable. So that kind of definitions remain same here. So if you take alpha is equal to around, let us say 0.5. Alpha 0.5, then it will add up to 3. If from the transfer function, if it is a third order system, then you will get 3 divided by 0.5 number of state variables minimum you can get. If alpha is 1, then you can represent it by 3 state variables. If alpha is 0.5, it will be 3 divided by 0.5 number of state variables will be coming in X. So that kind of definition will be coming same here. Only thing is that if it is d raised to alpha is there, it is called as alpha differentiated. All the states are called as alpha differentiated. All the states are called as alpha differentiated. Okay. In the normal integer order, we call it as unity differentiated. All the states are unity differentiated. Here we are calling that alpha differentiated. So this I think you know that for initial condition being 0, transfer function you know that it is C into Si minus A whole inverse B plus D. So this formula is a well-known formula. Only difference is for a fraction order system is this alpha. S raised to alpha into I. I represent the identity matrix. So if your base power is alpha, you can get convert a given ABCD matrix representation to your transfer function representation. There you will get S raised to alpha I. Now question arises that what is this S raised to alpha I? In normal system we have studied as S raised to I. When I is equal to 1, it becomes Si minus A. Everybody knows that Si minus A whole inverse. And if let us say for the same system, if some part of is represented by alpha 1, some part is having the base order of 1 and another part is having alpha 2 as the base order, then this kind of S raised to alpha I will be represented. Instead of that, it will be S raised to alpha 1 0 0 S raised to alpha 2. Matrix. So this matrix will be coming in place of this. So that is why we just for a given case, why I is coming, identity matrix is coming because we have taken Si minus A because alpha is 1 throughout your system. Your every state is taken as a differentiator of 1 or integrator as 1. Every part of the block diagram, your integrator remains constant. Order of the integrator 1 by S or 1 by S plus A or 1 by S plus B. In every part of the system, you are taking it as same. That output of the integrator is taken as the integrator, as a state. Then only you can put this I. If alpha is same throughout your block diagram or same for the throughout the entire system, then only you can put that I identity matrix. Otherwise, this instead of identity matrix, instead of this S raised to alpha into I, you have to use this matrix minus A whole inverse. If your alpha is not constant throughout the system, let us say some part of the block diagram, it is S raised to 0.6. 0.6 is the base order. Some other part of the system, same system, alpha is 0.7. So like that, it will be alpha 2 will be 0.7 and alpha 1 will be 0.6. And this entire thing you have to do as inverse. Then it will follow the same sequence and you will get the transfer function both in terms of alpha 1 and alpha 2 as the base order. Okay. So everything rest everything will be C into B plus D. rest everything will be same. So in the integer order thing, we have taken for granted that I will be coming. So why I will be coming? Nobody thought that. Because s raised to alpha is a it is not just only to make the matrix subtraction possible. It is because alpha is a continuous. Si minus a means your the order of integrator is same. The definition of the state variable has been same. That is why your I is coming. Otherwise, I will not be coming there. You have to choose something like this if your base order alpha 1 is not there throughout the system. So that is about the stability analysis will obviously remain the same. That poles should be lying on the greater than alpha pi by 2. You have any question on this part up to this part? Anything is there in chat? Does FOC are used in better representing or understanding any antimatter or matte material? Yes, definitely it will be that we are not even able to define what is antimatter, and by any representation, I don't know whether physics are able to define antimatter. But it will be, I think, definitely if you are working towards the representation of antimatters, that will be having a fractional representation size. But it will be a nonlinear fractional order representations. It will not be a simple integer order to represent antimatters or black holes or white holes. Those will be a nonlinear, highly non-integer. You can call it as a non-integer. Don't use FOC for that. C means controller actually. FO representation for the thing. So definitely it will be nonlinear fractional order representation for that. So before
Hello.
hello.
Yes, sir. I think there are no more questions from the participant side. Okay.
So
Uh,
before I
so,
go
so
wind up, I just want to hello.
yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
If there is no question from this side of the system representation, then we can start the approximation, which will be useful in implementing. If you are just in the starting stage, it will be useful to implement the in your MATLAB or in the Simulink or
Okay, sir.
so that will take around 10 minutes. I will take in Oslo approximation, how you can do the max with that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Please continue, sir.
Where is that?
അതിപ്പോ ആർക്കും എടുത്ത് പോകണല്ലേ ഞാൻ അഭിനയിക്കണത് ഞാൻ അവരാണെന്ന് ആർക്കും അറിയാൻ പാടില്ല.
I request all the participants to kindly mute their mics.
can see the slide. Hello.
Yes, it is visible.
So for your starting purpose, I think continuous time implementation I can take where you can represent s raised to alpha or s raised to gamma, where gamma can be any number, and like that you can make a building of blocks. If you have a transfer function, you know that each term has so many s raised to alpha, like 2 into s raised to 0.6, 2 into s raised to 0.7, like that you will be having. So one thing that I have told is the ladder circuits. How the ladder circuit is created? You can see that s raised to alpha is a function, and that if you take g of s is equal to s raised to alpha, that can be taken as a continuous fraction expansion. b0 of s, a0 of s, b1 of s, b2 of s, a1 of s, a2 of s, and each of these are polynomials of the integer order, and like that it goes up to infinity. The series, I think it will go to infinity. So s raised to alpha can be represented as infinite what is that? Infinite fraction in continued fraction expansion. That is what CFE. You can up to a certain time you can truncate that series. That much error will be there, and you increase the number of terms in this, where B0, B1, B2, A0, A1, A2 are the polynomials of the integer order powers. Okay. So here I am again saying that s raised to alpha can be broken down, and this is, you know, that when you have this kind of series, you can in the hardware you can implement in the ladder circuits. In the ladder circuits, and for your what is that, in the simulation part, you can keep n as a number of terms, number of polynomials, very large, and you can reduce the accuracy actually. So this is one way of using in the continued fraction approximation, which actually give you the circuit of RLC, that is resistance and capacitance, RC circuits. You can implement this using RC circuits, normal integer and capacitors, using a ladder circuit. That is why infinite series truncated at some point of terms you can implement in the ladder circuits. So this is the mathematics which leads to the ladder circuit side. And in the MATLAB, as I told you, there is already a block to define d raised to alpha by dt, and you can fit that block in any of your system whenever you have a transfer function in the system. So what is given is Oslo approximation is there, where inside they are using this kind of formula. You know, k is a constant, n is a constant, and s, you can see it is a first order. Numerator is a first order polynomial, and denominator is also first order polynomial. So pi is the product. You know that pi is the product of the same thing. So n times this product will be repeated, and omega k and omega k dash is obtained by this particular formula. So this is what the Simulink blocks will be implemented inside. Okay, so I will give some example. This is an example of that. S raised to 0.5 is there. 1 by s raised to 0.5 integer order. Integrator is there, so it will be s raised to minus 0.5 is there. Integrator. And so n is equal to, let us I have selected as n 4 in the first time, and n equal to 5 in the first time. So you can see order is 5, s raised to 5, and s raised to 4 is there. Okay, this is a normal our integer obtained from this using this above formula. Okay, using this formula, we will get this kind of order, which will give the same dynamics as s raised to minus 0.45. So to get the accuracy, you can see it depends upon n equal to 4 and n equal to 5. So this is what you can do for your initial work that you can do in the fraction order system, is by using the Simlinks or by using the higher order representations. We can see the body of plots. So as I said, phase plot for n equal to 1, n equal to 5 represents the dotted line, and n equal to 4 is what is a thick line. Okay, and you are getting the somewhat same straight line characteristics of the fractional representations. So you can see that a simple s raised to 0.5, a simple quantity, first only one term of s raised to minus 0.45 is represented by this particular very big order transfer function. Now in the in your normal fractional order system, there will be so many terms like this: 2 into s raised to 0.6, 3 into s raised to 0.2. For each of these, you can able to find the transfer function, this kind of representation, and put that into your original fractional order transfer function. Then you can put that, able to obtain the approximation of the fractional representation, and you can still work with the if the accuracy is not a big problem. You can, for our nowadays your computing facilities are good, you can increase the number of here n equal to 4 and n equal to 5 only. So for each term in the fractional order transfer functions, s raised to 0.5, s raised to 0.6, like that, so many terms will be there. So in each terms you can put this transfer function. Ultimately the transfer function size will be becoming big. But if you are able to write nowadays the computing facility is such that you can handle a big integer order systems. So each of the terms, fractional terms, s raised to minus 0.5 can be represented as using the Oslo approximation. So in the MATLAB, if you are seeing the block of d raised to alpha by dt, don't be under the impression that you are doing the work in the fractional order. Inside they are converting using the Oslo approximation into an integer order system like this. So your s raised to alpha will be represented by very big integer order systems, which will be mimicking the behavior of a fractional order string. Okay, so you can, by using the computing facility, by that you can reduce the error that is incorporated in the approximations. Okay, so that much I can say about if you have any questions. Hello?
Any participants, you have any question, then you can unmute yourself and ask. Okay, sir, I hope there are no questions.
Okay.
Okay, on behalf of the whole FDP team, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation,
One
sir.
question is there in chat box that how to obtain non-integer model.
Okay, sir.
I said I already replied that in my literature that there are two ways actually. One in which system itself will be giving you non-integer model, just like your non-integer model, either through its just like you have a loss, Kirchhoff loss. Think this: if you are studying the transmission lines, the equation dynamics itself will be giving the fractional order representation, or you can choose a fractional order system and fit your input output data. Okay, that way you can get by those two methods you can get a non integer models. Either, that means in simple way you can say as either you introduce purposefully or the system will be giving you. You have seen the fractal systems. That is, if you're breaking a cauliflower is a good example of fractal system. So if you pluck one cauliflower from the top, you will get another of the same shape. So if you're drawing the differential equation for that thing from the basic loss, you will automatically get the non-integer model. So there are two ways: either you purposefully introduce bring the fractional model, or the system itself will be giving you the by following its governing rules, you will get the non-integer model. In that way, whether we can say that FOPID is a combination of lead-like compensator. Yeah, you can say the same thing, that FOPID can be a combination of lead-like controllers, because you know that it will provide you plus 90 degree and minus 90 degree from the controllers being provided. Now you can tune that things. So matter will be same. What all theory you are studied about the lag and lead concept is applicable here also. Whether it is plus 90 degree lead is giving or minus 90 degree lag is coming, everything remains the same. We are not saying that FOPID is a combination of lead and lag compensate. What total in it will be coming, it is a contributing going to that. So that remains fixed. It will be tunable lead and lag compensator. Any controller, any general controllers you can take. Any lead lag compensators can be also a fraction order 10. So that any lead lag compensators can be a fraction order controller also. Not necessarily a PID controller can be a FO. Okay. Okay, got two.
Okay, sir, I hope there are no more questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir. On behalf of the whole FDP team, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation to be a part of the online FDP and spending your valuable time in educating our participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.